interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, fix and flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
Welcome to today's episode of Let's Do It Talk Show. It's your girl, Ladrine Howard Peterson, the CEO and founder of Do It, delivering on ideas and thoughts. And you know what I do in a nutshell. I help to turn dreamers into doers. And I do it from two aspects. I do it from the aspect of career development, resume writing, interview preparation. You have an issue on your job, anything HR, I am your girl. And I also do it from a business standpoint. You're looking to start a business. You want to expand your business. You have thoughts and ideas, but you don't know how to bring your business into fruition. I am your girl. Here at the Let's Do It Talk Show, we were primarily created for entrepreneurs, right? But we quickly realized that the entrepreneur is a whole person. So we talk about faith, we talk about finances, we talk about the future, and we talk about family and relationship. Today's episode is going to be about relationships, but it's really standing from the standpoint of future. And we are paying homage to our future Vice President of the United States. So she's making history, Kamala Harris. She's making history. And so today, that's what our show is all about. So we're talking about lessons from ladies in leadership. We're going to go in and we're going to talk about the pros, we're going to talk about the woes, and we're going to talk about the no's. So we're going to talk about the pros and the cons, and then we're going to talk about some no's, some rejections, and some other things that we have faced as leaders. You know how I do, right? So I talk about my weekend before we get started into the show. So my week and weekend was fantastic. First of all, I did my cooking chronicles as I did, and I'm going to show a quick clip, and then I'll come back and give an overview.
To lead. You know, I have in my career been told many times, it's not your time, it's not your turn. And let me just tell you, I eat no for breakfast. It's a hearty breakfast.
I'm back. Yeah, so my weekend was pretty much cooking earlier to get prepared for the weekend, I should say, and then I relaxed. This whole weekend was all about sweatpants and chill. The sweatpants and chill retreat, oh my God, it was everything. We're going to talk about that a little bit later because I have the visionary online with me. So we're going to jump right into the show, and we're going to start off by introducing the guest for today. So first of all, we have my contributing co-host, none other than Dr. Karen Hills-Puter. How are you, Dr. Karen?
I am wonderful. I am excited about the topic of today, girl power.
all the way, all the way, all the way. So looking forward to chatting and getting insight on you, because you have so much experience in so many different variations of leadership. So that's going to be we're going to have a very interesting topic. So next we're going to go to Latasha Briscoe, none other than the visionary for Sweatpants and Chill. How are you, Latasha?
I'm well, still recouping, even though we were relaxing all weekend.
I can only imagine. I'm with you, and I am still recuperating. So we're going to talk about Sweatpants and Chill a little bit later. So we're going to hold off on that. I was about to jump into dialogue, but we're going to hold off on that on just one moment. Let's finish introducing the other people. So next up we have Dr. Jennifer Bryant. How are you?
I am awesome and amazing. You know, I love hanging out with you. Although it's my bedtime, I know I'm going to have lots of energy and excitement going on during this hour.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you hung with me last weekend and all this weekend. So we are really, really, really on the same vibe right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
And I
indeed.
have another weekend of a full weekend coming up too.
Yes, yeah, so do I. That's a whole different story, but I'm looking forward to that as well. And then the first time to the show, but definitely one of my big sis from just way back when I first came on the scene, none other than my sis Donna Hicks Izzard. How are you? I think you're on mute.
I'm busy. I'm happy to be here, okay?
I see.
I'm excited. I'm happy. I was on mute, okay? But I'm always excited to be in your presence and always excited to be in the presence of awesome women of God. So I'm alive. I'm breathing all the way well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you, my sis, we had a great opportunity to serve on a panel last week for SpeakerCon. And
Yes.
I'm still recuperating from that. That panel discussion was everything.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was amazing. Yeah, it was.
Yes. So, ladies, before we get started and jump into the topic, what I want to do is I want to go around, do around quickly. So, we are paying homage to our Madam Vice President-elect. We are so excited on so many different levels. So many conversations have been had about this. But one of the things that we all have in common, ladies in leadership, we have been there, we are there, so we know the ups and downs, the ins and outs, and everything that comes about. And I'm talking about leaders, whether it's in corporate America, whether it's in academia, or rather it's even in our household or managing our personal businesses, because all of us are business owners. So I'm going to go right in the same order and just tell me in a couple words, what does this time and space mean for you to have a first, not only a woman, but an African American woman holding this role, a high-level role, other than the First Lady. So, Dr. Kern, what does this feel like for you?
Well, for me, I'm proud, but I'm also excited. Representation matters, and for our young ladies in the making, young girls who aspire to leadership positions, I think that they need to see individuals in high leadership positions to feel as if they can obtain them. And so that's what I'm most proud of, is that they get that representation, that someone who looks similar to themselves in a high office, a high government office that has been traditionally, traditionally, has always been Caucasian men. So.
Absolutely. That's a lot of people feel. A lot of people feel that way and have been openly expressed that. The excitement that comes with it, We cannot wait, and we're excited. Latasha, I'll go to you next. Thoughts, feelings. How does this time right here feel for you right now?
Just like Dr. Karen said, I'm excited about it because it's not just Kamala that won. I feel like we all won something. We all earned this. And I think it's important for all of us to support her during the next 4 years because, well, for me, I'm excited because she's representing the Divine Nine. And I'm also, as an African American woman, it's remarkable to be able to see, not only have we got to witness our first African American president, but now a vice president who's also a woman, and she looks like us. And we, how often do we get to have a generation that can say they've seen all of these firsts, in such high roles in their lifetime? This is all new to us, but our children will be able to say, this is normal.
Absolutely.
So I think this is definitely a new time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Jennifer, what about you?
What I would say to add to what Tasha said and Dr. Karen said is, look, it could be summed up as this. This is a legacy changing moment, right?
Yeah.
And this is a moment of crashing through glass ceilings, right? We could talk about it, and a lot of us sitting here on this panel are witness of being first ever to do a lot of things. And it may have only stayed inside our circle, but this first ever moment right now is being shown to the entire world. So this was what we needed right here and right now for this nation to give us hope and inspiration that we can do everything possible and anything possible. So what may seem impossible is possible.
Come on now. And somewhere along this weekend, you might have said that in your session or somewhere, because I heard that this weekend.
You heard that upgrade version 2.0.
I definitely heard that. Oh, I can't wait to dive into the conversation. I'm going to hold my comment to that right there. I want to jump in right here, but I'm not. I'm going to go to Donna. Donna, your thoughts?
Well, for me, it gave a new meaning to the word unstoppable. It gave a new meaning, my movement, the Unstoppable Black Woman. It gave me a new, mandate, because what she showed the world was that her initial race to the White House, she didn't get there. She was planning to get there through the presidency, but she didn't get there, and she did not let that deter her. Okay, so when she came and said, okay, I'm not going to get there on this leg, but I'm going to get there on this leg. And she's still going to the White House. So she embraces that word of unstoppable. She's an unstoppable Black woman. And so for me, it was in alignment. I believe that nothing is before its time. And it was in alignment with all that, for young women, for women, for all of us to see. You don't have to stop. You don't have to stop for what you believe that belongs to you. And so, yeah, for me, it gave me a new meaning for the word unstoppable.
Yes. And I love how you tie that into your business, because all of the inspiration and the motivation and the postings that you have been posting way before this time has prepared us for such a time as this.
Yes.
Has prepared us for such a time as this. Whether it's from the triple B's or either the all of the mottos and all of the different sayings that you use that are directly in alignment with unstoppable, because that's exactly, as you said, what it is. So ladies, shall we go ahead and dive into these topics? So the first one is pros. So we know, as being leaders, female leaders in our organizations, in our businesses, in different places that we've gone, there have been some pros to it. There have been some positive that has come out of it. So I want to talk about that. For me, in my personal experience, my pro was being able to be the first of many, but also was being able to represent a whole body of people, knowing that when I went to work, when I was in the boardroom, when I was coming up with ideas, or however I was moving and operating, I knew that it wasn't only for me. I knew that it was paving additional ways for people who were to come behind me. And God knows there had been various ways that had been paved for me, but I made sure that I didn't only just follow the pathway and follow the trailways that had already been paved for me, that I had actually created some new ones as well. And it took me it was risky, but it took me being really bold. One of the things that I never did, and I always talk about this when I related to my business and work, my ethics has always been on 100, regardless of anything, whether it was favorable or not. And sometimes it wasn't so favorable, but that is what I stand on. And when I mentor individuals, when I teach my staff, when I'm training, those are the foundations that I remind people of, and for you to truly be yourself. Truly be yourself. So with my Southeast slang, my South Carolina slang, and my University of Maryland slang, I mixed them all together, and that was being me. So let's talk about some of your experiences, and let's switch it up in the order a bit. So Dr. Jennifer, let's start with you first. What are some of the pros of you being a leader, and some of the things that, as you have traveled through, that you felt that were very beneficial to you in being a lady in leadership?
So what I would say, Ladrine, is the pro for me is always being in a position of leveraging my power of influence. Because I sat across, male counterparts, right? White male counterparts. I had the gift of being able to use my power of influence as well as nurturing, right? Because there were times when I had to nurture situations where I could give them a different perspective. Because like yourself, I felt like I was the voice and advocate sitting at the table. But there's just a certain way of thinking as women that we have that men may not think in that way. So I was able to soften certain situations. I was able to balance things out as being that woman sitting at that table, the first ever woman sitting at that table in my 20s.
Yep. Oh my goodness, I can relate to so many different things. Just as you talked about it, you could have removed "I" to me because those were some of the exact experiences that I had coming up in the federal government. The DI, let's go to you.
Well, for me, I don't work in the government or, Fortune 500, but I work in the legal industry in New York City. So working in the legal industry in New York City, working along with attorneys who believe that they're God, okay? Here, the DI, the little brown girl coming from the hood, okay? I was able to be me. I didn't change me. I was able to be me. But because of my brilliance, okay, and because I knew how to affect the bottom line with different strategies, I was able to position myself at the table, whereas other men and women of color were given opportunities that they would have never been given those opportunities if I had not used my voice, if I didn't know who I was. So because I knew who I was not going to dumb down or play small. They got all of me, the hood, the corporate, the ministry, they got it all, okay? And I did not apologize. And so for that, I became the first African American in the legal industry in New York City to be in my role, which was primarily white, Caucasian, male in IT and training development. So within the legal industry, that was, that was huge because people like us we could get to supervisor or we could get to maybe manager, but never director level. So that was the pro. but a lot of hard knocks. Like I said, because I come from the hood, I knew how to fight, so I was good.
If you was right here, I would bump fist you because I can definitely relate to that. Let's go to you, Dr. Kern. How about you?
For me, as a woman in leadership, it allowed me to teach the women that were under my direction what I knew they needed to know if they were to aspire to senior leadership. For instance, I never forget the first time I oversaw volunteer programs, and I was talking to the person who was over volunteer programs, and I asked her how many hours. She had 900 volunteers, and I said, how many hours does the work of your volunteers equate to? What is the average rate that what is the value of volunteer programs? And she couldn't tell me. And I said, just because it's volunteer, there is a number that is associated with it. I need you to run this like a business. And so for the first month, she was like, but it's not a business. And I said, yes, it is. You are contributing work hours to this organization. You have 900 volunteers. And so being a woman in leadership, it allowed me to teach women the skills that I know that they need if they aspire for senior leadership, how to make money, how to turn different things into a money equivalent so that you can articulate your value at the table. Because if you don't have value at the table, then your area gets cut. And so I teach them what they need to know, because sometimes the male counterparts don't reach back and teach them those things that they need to know to aspire to the next position.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Tasha, let's go to you.
So definitely the pro about being first is setting the precedence. Like, you get to make the rules, you get to say this is how it's going to be done, and you can either follow my direction or rock the boat and walk away. Because I've been in a position before where I had to walk in as the only African American, as the only woman, and have to tell a room full of middle-aged white men what they need to do. And talk about having to, break the silence in the room when they're looking at you as if, who are you and who invited you? And you should take a seat in the back of the room. It was just, the tone of that type of environment pushed me to become who I am, because what I saw was they didn't want to take any type of instruction from me. And they wanted to make my job difficult. However, I knew what I was there to do. I know what I was hired to do. I know why I was hired, because I'm qualified. And so it took me allowing them, I remember one day I allowed them to give all of their opinions, and then I said, are you finished? Because I have work to do. And it was as simple as that. It was, they were like, well, how do you come in here and you're changing this and you're changing? Yes, I am. And I have work to do. So are you ready?
Yeah.
But being able to be first and let them know this is what it is.
Yes. And oh my goodness. So we think of the magnitude that we deal with that in the United States, right? So imagine traveling around the world and having to learn all of the various cultures of all of these different countries. So when I was working as a director for FDA's foreign post offices. So basically, I was traveling around the world. And the thing for this was, I was pretty much the only one that knew all of the pieces, because I wrote the policy for my agency. So this was something new for us, pioneering, and I'm training and teaching. And so I got to a level where the reputation and my work stood for itself in my agency, and this was a huge thing. But I can tell you, I'll never forget walking into the embassy and we were meeting with ambassadors and all of the likes, all that very high levels. And walking into the room, we're at in their boardroom, sitting at the table, and they would not look at me at all. So I'm reading up about the culture, so I know that they have a thing and they feel that men are superior. So it was fine. So what we did was we went and we let my deputy director do the introductions and do the talking. So when it was the time for us to present, and I got up to present, if I could have taken a picture of their faces, it would have been like so shocking to people because their faces almost look like, who is she? So y'all know I cut up and I showed off and I showed out in terms of what I did. I've always like put my best foot forward anyway, but it's those type of stereotypes that you get that just push you to do more and to do more and to exceed to a level. So I can definitely understand with being in the boardroom with those who are looking and not expecting you to carry out the job, or that is not your role and responsibility. So any additional comments before we go to the next one? All right, great. So let's move on. So the next one is woes. So woes pretty much align. I needed it to rhyme, but of course we're really talking about the cons that came along with it. So now we get to this point. We are leaders, and regardless of however someone looks at it, it's a powerful position with a lot of different responsibility. But there is a price that we have had to pay and that we're continually paying. So let's go through and talk about some of the cons that come along with this, and especially this section would be so good for those who are aspiring leadership roles or those who are new to leadership roles. So let's talk about some of the woes, some of the cons that we have gone through. So D.I., let's start with you.
Well, first and foremost, I believe that anybody that's aspiring for leadership, and once you get there, the one thing for me was that I had to always play the game. Play the game. Okay, so something that, maybe, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have went for. But as I continued to evolve in leadership, I had to learn to play the game. And it was not always easy. Okay, and I consider myself a rock, a strong person. I could take a lot. But there were times that I would just come home and just be so frustrated and so beat down, because every time you turn around, you was dealing with some sort of systematic racism. So they have a name today for it. But I've been in this industry over 30 years, and I have been fighting the good fight over 30 years alone. And sometimes when you fighting for someone who looks like you, they're not fighting for themselves. So you busy talking, you busy writing memos on their behalf, and they're not even fighting for themselves. That's frustrating and that's disheartening. So I had to learn how to choose the fight that I'm going to fight today. Which game I'm going to play. Am I going to play this game or going to play that game? And that in itself was frustrating. But through it all, I never lost who I was. I never lost my identity. Okay, and I did not forget where I came from, but just the frustration. And so with all of that being said, is that you have to understand that it's not going to always be, I don't care how tough you are. I don't care how, bold you are. You're going to have to sometimes just sit back and be quiet, okay, and pick your battle. Pick your battle, because every fight is not your fight. Okay, in order for them to, because listen, I know that our kid, all the time, and I say, I know they going home at the dinner table. That black bee, you know what she said today? You know what she did today? Again, because I was very aggressive in talking about when I stood for something. But then I had to learn. I didn't always have it together. I had to learn that, this fight is going to be lonely sometimes. And it's going to be frustrating, okay? But I had to keep on pressing. I had to keep on showing up, because I knew it was God and God all by himself who positioned me there.
Yes. That's a shout right there. That's definitely a shout. Let's go to Dr. Karen. What about you in terms of the cons and in alignment with those who are aspiring to go into leadership, or right at that cuff into being there, what are some of the cons that you would like to highlight?
I think when when you initially get in the position, you don't have any allies. Over time, you will build up allies. And so, as a new woman leader, I had to build my allies by working double time. And what I mean by that is that I would have the meeting before the meeting. So I would go to who it is that I wanted to be my ally, and I would explain to them what it is that I was going to propose. We would go over the codes, the cons, and the pros. And so we would get on one accord so that at least when I went into the meeting, I would have that individual as an ally and use them to help persuade the whole room in addition to my presentation. And so as a very new senior leader, I worked double time by establishing allies until I could establish my reputation. And so when you don't have someone who looks like you, and then make no assumptions just because when there comes a time where there is another woman in the room, make no assumptions, she may not be an ally either. But when you're the only woman, then sometimes you have to establish your team before the big meeting. And so as a new leader, that's what I did. I created a lot of allies by having a lot of conversations before the big meeting.
Yes. Tasha, let's go to you. Cons.
Yeah, so one con I can definitely think of is being able to change the institutional mindset. Because when you go into a place where they've already established that women can't be leaders or Black folk can't be leaders, whatever it may be, and then you have to go in there because somebody decided that you were qualified. And like it's already been mentioned, some of us have to prove ourselves extra hard. And we lack those allies, we lack the support, because while those above us or those that are beside us may agree that we are qualified or that we are able to do our job, they don't want to step on the toes of those that have been patting them on the back for so long, or that have established what the norm should be for that institution or that organization. So it's difficult when you are walking into a place where that mindset has to first be changed. I know for me, when I had to walk into an organization like that, before I could even do my job, I had to change the mindset of everyone at the table. I had to let them know that, yes, I'm capable. Yes, I'm educated. Yes, I'm able to do this. And I'm able to also walk you along this path so that you too can get on board and we can get this job done together. But being able to get over that mindset, because we all, look at our country right now. It's a mindset thing.
Yeah, yes. Oh, that mindset, that's a whole different show in itself. Mindset is a serious thing. Mindset and culture change. So let's go to you, Dr. Jennifer. What are your thoughts? What do you feel? What are some of the things that stand out to you as cons and that will also serve as like advice to someone who's aspiring to be a leader?
So I'm going to take it from a different perspective, and I agree with all the other panelists. But what I want to talk about is dealing with your own personal development as you are aspiring to be a leader. And so I will share with you that when I'm out here speaking, I am really holding on to the point of the importance of emotional regulation. And the reason why I hold on to that, because early on, being a leader, I was acting in a position for about a year. And I gave it my all at the sacrifice of my family and all, working, 12, 14-hour days. And I was called into the office and by the head of the organization, and she shared with me that I wasn't going to get the GM job. At the time they call it general manager's job. And I lost it. Like really lost it. Like Donna, look, I see you laughing. I really lost it. And so much so that when I went home, I even sent her a long email. so Ladrine and Tasha, I know you can identify, you know, being in the federal government, it was the head of the organization. She was at the assistant administrator level, right? So here I am sending her a long message because I'm teed off. Like, what do you mean you didn't select me? And so my point being is that in that moment of time, I spent time, you know, getting a mentor, the person who was selected to get the job. Actually, he and I worked closely. So, the other part of this too, in terms of the emotional regulation, I had people who were following me, my team, right? So they're watching how I behaved, and it wasn't a good light I left on them. And so, so what I did is that moment in time set back my wonderful credibility and my reputation that I built as a first ever, right? Woman sitting at the table. So it took me over a year to rebuild who I was for the position. And not only just that, when new leadership came in, I said to the new leadership, I humbled myself and said, I know that you've heard about me. I know you've heard what may have happened. I will not speak ill will of the previous assistant administrator. I want you to allow me this time to learn from the GM all that I need to learn so you can consider me and place me in the position. So, bottom line, I got moved into the position, right? Without competition, without any advertisement, because he saw a new me. Like, he didn't see the old me, but he saw my results and he saw how I behaved. And not only just that, my team saw how I came back from a setback. And that was a leadership lesson. And that's what I always speak about when I speak to aspiring leaders, the importance, especially women, because, you know, there's already a thought, a myth that's there anyway, right? You never want to come across as an angry Black woman. You never want to come across as being super emotional. And so I failed in that space, but I used that as a learning and teachable moment.
Yeah, that's really, really, really good. That's really good. So mine that I will offer is having the understanding and knowing that you are going to be in spaces and sometimes places where you are alone. Where you are alone, and it is okay. It's okay. So don't get me wrong, in any organization, in any type of job, it takes several people to do so. So you're going to have to work with different individuals, but especially when those who are new into leadership and they got a position where there were a lot of other people that may have been their friends or the colleagues on that level. And then when you get into a higher position, things start to change. Things start to change. So now you are in a space like you're in a sandwich because you have the higher up or the other people who are colleagues that you're just coming into and they're testing you of how did she get picked and all of these various things. So you got to represent yourself in that aspect, but then you also have those who you may now be supervising or maybe on a different level where they're giving, she thinks she's all that. And I'm like, no, you think I'm all that and I've been all that. You know what I mean? And I say that to be funny, but you have to keep a level head because all of the different noises coming from up, around, and every which way can get into your head. And you start questioning, do I belong here? I have mentored so many new supervisors that had started questioning themselves of, do I really belong here? Like when I'm in situations, I feel like I'm being attacked and all of these different things. So I'll have a discussion with them. And depending on how we feel, I will always tell them and remind them that those people who are having those discussions, they didn't pick you and you didn't pick yourself. So for whatever reason, God ordained it for it to happen, and then whoever saw it and whoever was a part of it helped you to get picked. You don't owe them or them an explanation. So that's one of the things that that really is a con, because it ends up you're in a new job and you're all excited and you're eager, you're ready to do the best that you can and excited about your accomplishment. Then you have other people that are pulling you down. So you have to make sure that your headspace is clear and that you are focused on your work, and stop trying to impress like the other people or trying to friendly up with it. You have a responsibility, and don't get me wrong, relationships are very important. Relationships are important, but when you know someone is coming at you at a negative angle, that's not where your energy needs to be. So make sure that you're focusing on what you're doing, and also that for those who are upper, you don't just go into a space and acting like you know everything that there is. So you make sure you go in and you learn and you understand the lane. And I will tie it right into what Donna said. Because unfortunately it's a game, and even for those who don't like to play games, you have to understand. So I turn it into strategizing. So everything that I do is from a strategic standpoint. So you start understanding people and understanding their communication style and all of these various things. So it is not like a light job to be a manager, a supervisor, or a leader. There are several different things that come along with that. And the higher up you are, the more people that you deal with. So you might deal with like supervisors, but you still have chain of command of people that report to you and that you report to as well. And the responsibility is much more deeper. So I love supervising, but understanding those pieces where sometimes you will definitely be by yourself. You would definitely be by yourself, and it's okay, and it's okay. So that's a con, but also a highlight that I definitely want to share. Any other comments before we go to the third topic?
So, Ladrine, I do want to add this, is that I'm not sure about how the other, if the other panelists dealt with this, but I dealt, because I was the first ever, in a lot of positions, other Black women or other Black people thought that I should just automatically put them in jobs because of their color, right? Like, you're not gonna look out for me, sis. Sis, you ain't gonna look out for me. And then when they perceived sis didn't look out for them, I became every name in the book. Oh, she bougie, she stuck up, she. So no, I put the best person in the job who I feel will be able to do the job.
Oh my
so
goodness.
That's a blow too.
Yeah, I definitely dealt with that. Believe it or not, some of our own, they will persecute you like, oh, who she thinks she is. But this is the deal. But when you had a Caucasian person in charge, you did everything and anything that they wanted. You didn't question them. You didn't do anything. But the minute someone of color, instead of you celebrating that person, you gave that person your behind, okay? But like I said, they had to deal with the D.I. I came from Harlem, USA, okay? Listen, I knew how to get down with them. And I'm like, I'm not the one. I'm just not the one. And like you said, Dr. Jennifer, I put the right person in the job. I didn't care if you was white, green, or yellow. Can you do the job? Plain and simple. Were they qualified? Okay? They wouldn't put me in that position if I wasn't qualified. So, but yeah, some of our own will persecute us like no tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's ironic in terms of how my pathway has gone. So I probably have supervised, I was trying to count and add up, but I'm close to 200 in supervising the number of employees that I have supervised. And 80% of them have been Black. In my interview process, anyone who has worked for me know that I do not play. I have a structured interview process that I go through, but it just so happened that the majority of my employees have been black. And it's not a black or white thing. I picked the best person as well. And I've only had a friend who worked for me one time. And we became friends along the way because I was hired for a position where she already worked and she had applied for the job. So she came into my office the first week, introduced herself and said, "Hi, I applied for the job." And I was like, "Oh, Lord, here we go." She was like, "No. I asked them, how did you get the job?" And I didn't. And they told me HR. So I'm coming to you to ask you because I know that that's an area where I need to strengthen to be in a position like that, rather it be in this office or another one, because our organization is structured pretty much the same way. And she and I became the best of friends. And one thing about me is, you can be on the same level or you can be above me and I'm still going to support you the same way. I'm not that type of person where I always got to be ahead of you. I always got to be ahead of you. For me, as my individual, I have charted my career. I haven't just waited for my supervisor. So I'm going to learn and I'm going to be engaged. It doesn't matter where you are, but she was my friend. And it just so happened everywhere I moved, she moved right with me. And I had her on the show, and the segment was called Secretary to Senior Executive, because she is a senior executive, been a GS15 for a minute now. But we talked about how when she was a secretary and I came as a program specialist. So it's the thing like that of understanding that we have a responsibility. So we can't just go around and picking friends and family from that aspect, because then if they can't do the job, then we have a problem. We have a problem, and we know that it's done, but that's not my stance. I know my expectation. And I know I'm not going to be doing your work for you. I'm hiring you to do a job. So respectfully, family and friends have to understand. I'll help you get a job. I'll help you with your resume. I'll help you with your interview preparation. But the whole aspect of it, you have to understand when someone is helping you or when you're looking for someone to give you a job that you're not the best qualified for. So those were very, very good points, because we as leaders and family members and friends, we face that all of the time. But I think I pretty much set the record straight early on with my friends, and it's like this is how it is. And so thank goodness that they all respected me and got the picture, understood, at least to my face. They might have said something different behind my back. So let's move to topic number 3. Oh my goodness. So the no's. So we talked about the pros, the woes, or the cons. So let's talk about the no's. What are some things that you have faced during your career or during your businesses from a standpoint of you have been rejected, or you have had some very challenging times where you pretty much feel with everything in your being that the reasoning of no or denying or not and allow you to participate in something was totally racism or some other reason, because it's not only white and black. We have black leadership that do not support other black leadership as well. So let's go in and talk about the no's, and then at the end of it, let's talk about some issues that we've had with the people of our same color. So let's start with you, Tasha. No's. Talk about some of the experiences or some of the rejections that you have faced.
So back in my younger years, that no would have made me upset and deterred me from even trying to explore any other options. And as you grow and as you experience different levels in your career, you realize that all of those no's are just setting you up for your big yes. And what I had to understand, and it kind of takes me back to the previous topic we were just discussing, that some of us have to deal with that double standard, where we're saying friends or family or whoever may want us to pick them for a position because we get at a certain level. But the reality is, no one just picked me because of who I was. I had to work hard to get there. And so when you get to a point where you're constantly trying to build up your career and increase your education and training so that you can get to that next level, and then somebody says, well, you're still not qualified, it can be kind of, devastating at some levels. But then you have to realize, and plus I lean a lot on my faith now. Back, like I said, back in the day,
Amen.
it'd have been different. I would have said, oh, they didn't pick me because I'm black and everything else.
Right.
Now I know that whatever's for me is going to be for me anyway. So I don't stress about it as much. But I also go back, just like you said, your friend came to you, Ladrine, and wanted to know, well, why didn't I get this?
Right.
What is so different about you? What do I need to earn? And now I figure out, okay, if this is what I want, if this is my next goal, what are the requirements? What are the qualifications? Who else is doing this that I can talk to? And I see, like, I'm peeping at the chat on Facebook. What type of mentor do I need to seek out? What type of coach do I need to seek out so that I can put myself in a position to get what it is I want? Because you can't be dependent on somebody to just hand you your yes. You have to work for it, but you also have to make sure you're putting yourself in a position to earn it.
That's exactly what it is. And for those of you who understand the federal government scale, ever since I was a GS8, I started drafting out and taking responsibility. I went to this class that was called Managing from the Middle. Managing from the middle, and it pretty much, it taught you how to manage the work and how to manage your supervisor, so to say, in an aspect of the work. But you know me, I always get something out of it, and I never forget how I was sitting there, and I was like, manage from the middle. I can manage my entire career. And then I started looking up information, and I came across something that was called an IDP, an individual development plan. And when I tell you I live by that, I make it mandatory for my employees now, because when I came across that tool, nobody was using it, and I would work with my manager in a way to say, hey, this is what I wanted to do. But it was the same way that I manage various things. This is where I want to go. This is where I am. It was doing a career gap analysis and what I needed to do to get to the next grade. So once I got my grade, I was already working towards what I needed to get to my next grade, so that no person could deny me of what I was striving for. No person could get in my way. It drives me nuts when people be like, my supervisor is holding me back. And I'm like, your supervisor making you stay on at that job? Like you have a contract that you can't break or something? It's going to cost you more if you try to leave? Like, what's your situation? No. So we have to realize when we are holding ourselves back, and more so, we have to realize when we're not pushing ourselves forward. So when I tell you I managed my career, nobody was going to stop me from getting to where I needed to be. And I studied and learned to know what I needed. So I was always a year ahead of where I needed to go. So that was very, very good pointers that you provided, Tasha, through your experience that you had. So that was very good. So let's go to you, Dr. Jennifer. What about you?
So this is what I would say, Ladrine, is, and you and I have heard this before, the no is next opportunity, right? And so, and like, Tasha said, I rely heavily on my faith too. So I've gotten lots of no's. I got a lot of laughter in my face. I got a lot of, you're not going to be able to do that because I tried to do that. And so what I said to myself in the conversation that God had with me was, that's not your story, right? And so when you know it, and I keep pointing to Tasha too, is that being in federal government, retired from the federal government, to make it out the federal government certified as at the SES level is hard. It is very hard. And when I went into the program, I'd heard no twice. I went through the program, made it to a certain stage, and no. But that didn't stop me. What I learned how to do with that no is to learn how to go out there and reach for help, right? Get a mentor, find out people who's gone through the program, right? Sit down with them, ask them to review your stuff, right? Ask them to provide you pointers. Never be afraid to ask. Just like you said, your girlfriend asked you, what did it take to get to that next level? I say the same thing in having a career as well as with your business. Look to find others who are doing what you're doing and who can possibly provide you with a blueprint to help you get to that next opportunity that you saw as a rejection, but more so it's a growing period and growing lesson for you.
Yes, yes, that's very good. Mentors and coaches at all different levels. And that was one of the things, while I didn't have an official mentor, I tag upon people. So when I go back to them and I be like, I appreciate you being a mentor, they were like, a mentor? And I was like, even though we didn't have a contract that was signed, I had one, but that's a different story. We didn't have a contract where it was signed. I watched you. I saw you. I watched a various number of people. I saw what I didn't like. So those are the things that I didn't bring along with me in terms of my supervisory character. And then I saw the things that I did like. And those are the things that I looked at and I modeled, and I would go and talk to anyone. Or if I was on assignment and I had to engage with one of the scientists or one of the senior officials, trust me, I'm doing my work, but I'm watching you. I'm watching you. So I'm interviewing you while I'm doing my work. I took my career coming up so seriously that it was like unimaginable. And then I started like coaching and teaching other people before I even got into the business. I would have this thing that was called Lunchtime with Ladrine. I would say, I have a busy schedule, but during my lunchtime, you can come and we can meet in the cafeteria or we can meet somewhere and eat, and I can talk to you and I can work with you while I'm eating. And that turned into a business because I realized how much it was helping people, because the one lesson that I always tell people, you're always complaining about your manager. Let me give you the perspective from a leader, from a manager standpoint. Because when we're looking through our lens in the position that we're in the space that we are in. My big lesson that I learned was always truly, we're here. You haven't until you walk the mile in someone else's shoes or put yourself in someone else's shoes. I actually really took that to heart. And whenever I'm engaging and dealing with something, I put myself in the other person's shoes. And when I'm coaching someone, I give them the angel's advocate, not the devil's advocate, but the angel's advocate, because we only see with our lens, and often we're missing what is around us, and we can often look at it in the incorrect way, which will be detrimental to our mindset and our thoughts. You're thinking somebody is getting at you or doing something, but nah, sis, nah, bruh, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or you're not taking advantage of all of the things that are out there. So stop depending on somebody, someone, that supervisor, that leader, that manager to guide and to lead and to have control over your career. Over your career, just like you don't want anyone having control over your life. So yeah, that's a whole preaching, sermon, and everything else. So Dr. Karen, can we go to you?
Well, my note situation was where I served in an interim role, but I didn't want the job on a regular basis. And so I agreed to serve on the interim role, served it well. served on the committee while they were looking for the regular hire. And then that hire didn't work out. And then they asked me to serve in the interim role again. And then they asked me to take the role, and I didn't. And so I was basically barred from getting a promotion because I didn't accept the director position that they wanted me to accept because they didn't have a successful hire. So it's like, okay, and it was unofficial. I didn't even know I had been barred until after I had left the organization. But when I left the organization, after a while, I figured something was going on because I wasn't elevating at the same speed as I was prior to taking the interim role. And someone told me that, oh, they said you didn't take the director position over here, that you would never get a director position here. And literally, I never got a director position there because I would not accept a role that I did not want, even though I, as a team player, I accepted it on the interim role. So that was a major no for me. But I'm kind of glad I went through that experience, one, because I was on another path and another discipline. And why should you feel the pressure to take a whole different career change just because your employer is unsuccessful in filling the position? And that wasn't part of my career plan for myself. I was in a totally different discipline.
Yes. Donna, let's go to you.
Well, my no, even though I'm in training and development in the legal space, my love is HR. So unofficially, I'm a people person. I actually do more in HR in my organization than the HR department. So I'm on this committee, that committee, whatever. And one of the areas that in the legal industry that they did not have was diversity and inclusion, which I'm extremely passionate about. Well, I'm the one who went to the COO, went to the executive committee, say we need to have this person, we need to have this kind of person in this organization. And they went, why was I saying that? Because I wanted to be it, okay? So I had saw where they had elevated other people who didn't look like me and gave them the opportunities to learn. Well, they went out and hired someone and told me no. That devastated me. Because I was so passionate about it. But like Tasha and like Dr. Jennifer, said, well, because I'm a woman of faith, what I remembered was that God said, that's not your portion. Because let me tell you, what I wanted, what my flesh wanted, what I thought I deserved, I had fought for, I had demonstrated that I should have this position. You know how passionate I am about it. Y'all got me on the harassment committee and that. Well, today, I am leading the Race and Relations Task Force. I'm telling old white men how to treat men and women of color. I got the same white men that I place discrimination complaint on. They are my biggest allies. They are coming to me. These are owners of the firm. Donna, you know what? We admire you. You are a brave woman. So now that the D&I, they are a committee, that wasn't my portion. God said, I got something better for you. So things that I had been holding on for the last 30 years of everything that I have gone through, everything that men and women of color, I'm able to now say, I'm able to now tell them, to teach them, this is how we are viewed. This is how we've been treated. This is how you guys have done systematic racism. And they're looking at me like, what? We didn't know. Tell us some more. And I'm sitting back loving every minute of it. I'm giving God all the glory, honor, and praise. Because I would always tell my sister who works along with me, my bestie, I would say, when I leave here, I'm going to write a book about the systematic racism that happens in the legal workforce. I'm going to talk about how we got almost 400 attorneys and we only got 7 black attorneys. I'm going to talk about how we're being treated. I'm going to talk about that. And God said, you don't have to wait till you retire. I'm going to give you a seat at the table today. So that no, Whereas before I understood what God was really doing, I was devastated, and I was like, but that's my job. How you gonna go get that job to somebody else and you know I want that job? Because it wasn't my portion. So we got to understand what those no's really are. And that if you are a believer, then you got to understand that it is God and God all by himself. He's already given us those plans. He's already decided where you would be. So your flesh may want a position, but that's not your portion. If God said no, don't look at the person saying no. Understand that God has something else for you. So the position that I thought I should be in, when I tell you, my boy said, Donna, you just so bubbly. Why? Because I'm doing what my Heavenly Father created me to do. I'm using my voice. I'm able to, all that pain, all of that discrimination, all of those issues, I'm able to now speak on it. And they all are all around the table. Tell us some more, Donna. Tell us some more. They're ready to hear, whereas they would not have heard me in a D&I position.
That's it. That's it. And I'm going to let you all go around and do like one closeout and tell people how they can get connected with you. So my no, and it ties into a little bit of what Jennifer said early on, and Donna, what you just now said. So I was in a director position, and by me being in charge of human resources and all of the other things, but mainly human resources where I'm going. So I was coaching the SESers and the country directors and all of those things because that was my director role. So whenever situations would come up, I would tell them, it was straight up. I didn't play whether the person was black, white, or whatever. But whatever it was, I would be like, you can't do that. They would be like, what do you mean I can't do that? Policy, I would be like, I'm a policy quote and have been doing it from coming up. I would be like, policy number such and such and such. You cannot do this, this, and this, and this. And I will walk through and I will explain. And then also to the employee, I have seen a very good employee lose it and end up putting themselves in a situation where the rules were that they ended up being in the wrong because of insubordination. So the one thing that we have to understand is when we get those no's, do not let it mess up you. Because we can take a situation from the first debate. Poor Biden. We know that Trump was coming at him, talking about his dead son and all of these other things. And he was just like, man, you's a fool. You know what I mean? He like lost it in the public eye and everything. And we know what led to it. We know why it happened. But that's the same way that you have to operate, and you have to understand. When somebody else is doing wrong, you have to continue to do right. And I know it's like the hardest thing to do because trust me and believe, Donna, if God has it for you, whatever lesson or whatever you're going through, it's a part of your pathway. He's not going to put anything in a way that's going to kill you unless that's your expiration date where he's meaning for you to die and come on and be with him. But we have to understand that because there's so many times, and don't get me wrong, I'm talking, but I learned early on when I was a stay-in-school student. I lost it. And luckily, it was so many people that looked like me that pulled me into the office and was like, you can't do that. I was like, but I'm right. And they was like, you are right. But guess what? She is a medical officer. She's been here for 27 years. You've been here for 1 year. It doesn't matter. And you are on a stay-in-school appointment. And I was like, but I'm right. So early on, that was my lesson. You will be right a lot of times, but that cannot be causing you to go off and reflect in a different way because there are rules out here and rules are not necessarily written for you. Even in a supervisory aspect, when I coach other people, I will explain to them, I'm a manager. And thank God that I am who I am and always fair. Doesn't matter if it's going to make me mad or whatever. Thank God that I had that in me, because there are rules out there where a manager and HR and all these meetings, they can flip it. They can flip it on you, and all you got to do is react the wrong way, and you're sitting there like, but I didn't start it, but I was wrong, but they did this to me. So you got to understand the rules. So when Donna talked about the game, so we're going to play this real quick clip of Kamala and what she thinks about the no, and then we need to wrap up, go around the room, any close out, and Tasha, I'm going to go with you last so we can close out on Sweatpants and Chill. So we're going to play this quick clip and see what Kamala says about no.
You never have to ask anyone permission to lead. You know, I have in my career been told many times, it's not your time, it's not your turn. And let me just tell you, I eat no for breakfast. It's a hearty breakfast.
Yeah, so there you have it from her. She eat no's for breakfast. So we're going to go around the room and do a closeout, quick closeout, and then also tell people how they can reach you. So we'll start with you first, Dr. Karen.
Yes, this has been wonderful. I'm Dr. Karen Hills-Pruden. I'm the career elevation expert for female middle managers seeking senior leadership positions. If you are looking for someone to help you demystify the employment recruitment process for senior leadership, and you are a female, I am your coach. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Absolutely. And then we'll go to the next person. Let's go to Dr. Jennifer.
Thanks, Ladrine. This has been an amazing panel, very engaging. It has blessed my soul. And I hope that it has blessed the viewers as well. And again, I'm Dr. Jennifer Bryant. You can find me on Facebook. And my company is Reaching Within an Empowerment Journey. And I help clients to accelerate to the next level in their careers through personal and professional development, as well as offering other services. Ladrine, I think I mentioned this to you the other day, that when you asked me to be on the show, I was honored, number one. Number two is I said this is God's alignment, because on Wednesday, I am going to launch a call for authors for my leadership anthology. It is going to be called A Step into Greatness, Leadership Greatness.
Absolutely.
So,
please put your information into the feed, definitely in alignment.
Yes, Step into Leadership Greatness, and it's going to have authors from different places. It doesn't matter. Leadership is not a title. You can lead wherever you are. So I'm excited about this anthology, and it's coming out Wednesday, and I just wanted to give y'all that drip.
Thank you so much for that. Always a pleasure for both of you all. And next up is the DI.
Well, this has been amazing. I'm always honored to be in your presence and women, great women, the presence of women. I just love it. And I love how we can come together and be a blessing to everyone who God has divinely connected us to. And so for me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. But what I do, I help Black women dominate in their careers, their businesses, and their ministries. I'm an MBC. I'm a minister with a business and a career. What I do know is that when you know who you are and what you can do, there is nothing that will stop you. You will be unstoppable.
Absolutely. You forgot rapper, because you always coming up with the tagline or something that we walking away with rocking down. So add rapper, words, spoken word specialist, or whatever you want. Add that to your resume as well. But always appreciate you from day one. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Loved it.
Thank you. Last but not least, Miss Tasha. So closing word, and then we're going to talk about Sweatpants and Chill very quickly.
Okay, yep. So I am the owner and creative director of LB Innovations Events, where I plan events, I design events, but I also create platforms for female entrepreneurs to represent their business and grow their brands. And I also empower creative entrepreneurs with the tools that they need in order to reach their ideal clients. Now let's talk sweatpants and chill.
Let's talk sweatpants and chill. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. This weekend, I mean, you see, I haven't posted about last week nor this week. My mind is like blown, but I was tired for one, but my mind has been blown, and all of the different feeds and all of the different posts. So when I'm preparing for the show, I'm often on Facebook because I'm going to pull pictures to pull into a video. So, oh my goodness, when I tell you the feedback from individuals preparing for the show, that's what gets me. Somebody's phone is up. Turn your phone down. That's what gets me, the feedback, because you know that you made impact. But and not even, I didn't need to wait for the feedback on social media. I'm talking about the feedback that was in the room. Virtually, like, it didn't feel like we were virtually. The only thing is we couldn't bodily hug, and there was no sweatpants and chill food. But I mean, you know, we had to do our own thing. But the spirit moved greatly beginning on Friday. We normally go into Holy Ghost mode on Sunday. It started on Friday. So what's your space right now? What are your thoughts? What's going on with you right now?
I was so overwhelmed by it all because, like I say every year, I plan it out. You've seen the notebook. I have everything written to a T by the minute on what is supposed to happen. But I also know that God just comes into space and just takes over. We come there to talk about our mind, body, and business, and literally it is a soul revival. And I have, like, we never know. We didn't know we were going to go over 2 hours, not because we didn't end on time, but because we had praise and worship 2 times after Saturday and Sunday. So it works out. It works out. And to see people engage for an extra 2 and 3 hours after the event on a virtual platform, come on now.
Yes.
That was just, ordained.
And they're on the feed talking about, don't forget that playlist. That playlist was everything. And Catherine says, yes, we started on Friday. Louise is the one that brought up the playlist. Selena said she missed the food. She was hungry. Sunday was off the chain. And Louise said, y'all show off. And then also we're getting feedback about the panel. The panel was awesome sauce, blessing lady. So I really didn't have any, I was trying to come with the words to put together to describe it. But I actually saw on Facebook a video where one of the participants actually described her experience. And like you wrote, I think she probably summed it up. What you think?
She did. When I got her video, I saw it this morning. She sent it last night. I saw it this morning. And I sent her a message. I said, you got me crying early this morning. Because what I said, I asked all the attendees, because if we were in person, I would have the videographer capture some testimonials afterward. So I asked the attendees to send me some videos so that we could try to compile them, use them for next year, and then just share their experience until we get back to November. And when I saw her video, I'm like, oh my goodness, why she had to go and do that.
Yeah. And so we're going to try to see if we can show that video. So I sent it to them trying to upload it. So let's see if it works.
Hello, everybody, all attendees of SPC 2020. It's a wrap. But let me tell you something. These last 3 days have been nothing but phenomenal joy, caring, love, understanding, balance, release, relating, just relishing in a whole bunch of good thoughts, good emotions, good vibes coming at you. We were in a zone. We were in a zone this weekend. I always tell people, sign up and sign up early, because if you missed it, you missed a treat. You missed a treat. Every year it gets better and better. And I must say, for this year, for it being virtual, I didn't think it could bring such raw emotion to so many people. But let me tell you, people laughed, people cried, people shared their screens, they shared their personal stories. Lord have mercy. People delved deep inside their souls and released. I've seen people cry who wouldn't cry in the face of their families. But you know what? This retreat has a way of just bringing that joy, all that mess up out of you. It just has a way of just opening you up and revitalizing yourself to say, you know what? From the day on, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to be a new woman. I'm going to step different. I'm going to walk different. I'm going to jive different. I'm going to shimmy and shake different. So if whatever it did for you, makes you take a different walk, so be it. For me, it let me see that I definitely need to start my novel. I am going to start a novel. Today, I got my subject of my novel. Don't have a title, but I got my subject of my novel. And I will be moving forward with that. That will be my 2021 dream. So hopefully by the next Sweatpants and Chill, I'll be ready to put my book out. And I'll be able to put my book in everybody's grab bag. So just wanting you to know, single moms, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I just want to thank everyone for the inspiration, especially Constance Mason. I just have to say, a lot of times you just touch my heart in a way that you just can't imagine. Latasha, you know you my boo. I'm going to forever love you for being the visionary of this project. And I can't say enough how much you have touched the hearts of women this weekend. Ladrine, Whiskey Girl, let me tell y'all something. Y'all showed off. Y'all should be outlawed. Y'all should be outlawed for the stuff that y'all did this weekend, the things that y'all brought out of women, the grace that you showed. Just can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough. But again, I say you guys better get on board with this retreat, because I have seen none other like it. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who took a part, whether you were a sponsor, a vendor, a presenter, a speaker, a panelist, whatever part you took, whether you were one of the ambassadors, whatever part you took in this, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I am full to my heart's content. I am studying all my notes that I took. I took this page out of the booklet for the conference, Different is Beautiful, and I put all my notes, important things that meant a lot to me that I'm going to add to my vision board. And I put all these notes here. I also took manual notes. I'm a note taker. I'm very visual. So all of those notes, I'm going to take those, compile them, add them to my vision board, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to step out this next year in stride. 2020 ain't dead yet. I'm going to start now and move it on into 2021. So make sure you guys get signed up for SBC 2021. Sweatpants and Chill 2021. If it was anything like 2020 was, come on now. Y'all better stop showing off. Like I said when I started the video, it's a wrap. We're done. Thank you for everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So like Louise said, there you have it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap for SPC 2020. If you all were not there this year, make sure you're in the place next year. Pre-tickets are already on sale. You can put your deposit down. We didn't even talk about the swag box. The swag box, the agenda, everything was so amazing. And I had to surprise somebody. So I surprised Louise because you surprised me with the award. I was like, I'm hosting on 2 of the 3 days, so I know everything that was going on. So when that was said, I was kind of stuck. So that's why my face was the way that it was, because I was sincerely lost and surprised. So thank you so much for honoring me with the Boss Lady Award of the Year in Entrepreneurship. I truly appreciate that, but definitely was surprised. So that's why my face looked like that and I was a little off. I didn't know what was going on. So I appreciate that. But Tasha, sis, can I tell you that every component of what ended up happening, regardless of all the pieces that were playing, and everything pretty much went according to plan, except for our cry breaks and our praise breaks. How everything and all of the speakers, the energy from the speakers, the energy from the sponsors, even when they were talking about their items, the energy from the participants, the playlist, the ambassadors, the everything was just so wonderful and just kept going up higher and higher. That mental health panel, we definitely have to bring them on the show just to talk about that alone. Very impactful, but so were all of the other speakers. I'm not even going to talk about Sunday because we got to close out. So I'm not even going to talk about Sunday. But last minute, anything else that you want to add about sweatpants and chill?
Look, I have my sweatshirt on. I'm still drinking my tea. It was just an amazing experience. When I said I wanted to have something that was catered around self-care, where you could just focus on you. Like I told all the ladies, go in the room, lock the door. Even when we were ending on each day, I said, keep the music playing. Tell them you're still in the conference, just so you can have that time. But we need that. And to be able to do it virtually, who knew? I don't know, but I love it. That's what I do, and I love it.
Yeah, the playlist.
I will say too, Ladrine, real quick, and Tasha, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal, and I will tell you from a facilitator standpoint, it was on point with the engagement all throughout. The people who I invited, they were like, thank you for inviting me. So it definitely was a gift, and even as one of the speakers, it blessed my soul.
That's good.
Yes. And I was in your session, really enjoyed it. You were like, can I start? I came to I'm a participant, not a host for this session. So that was funny. No, I came to listen to you, sis. So that was good. Your presentation was good as well. But everything was good. And Selena take that chill pill. So Sunday, man, from Tanya to Reverend Campbell, to Minister Lucretia, to Reverend Rice, to everybody who was speaking and giving their testimony, to everybody who spoke up and had an issue or a need, to the participants and everybody else who addressed the needs and supported them financially or whatever way that was necessary. Just powerful. We can go on. We might have to do a Sweatpants and Chill breakout or, a follow-up discussion just to kind of like go through that, because we have got to end the show. So thank you all, my fellow HR and my fellow leaders, for coming on the show. This was really dynamic and going through all of our experiences and being able to share and give advice to those who may be coming into this. But we also know that Kamala Harris has something on her hand. You know what I mean? I think, based on what I see, that she can carry herself. But we all have been the strongest of the strong, but have been in situations that only Jesus can get us out of, and that only God can give us the strength to even maneuver to, because it's a price that you pay to be in leadership. Yes, it comes with good money. Yes, it comes with the power to be able to lead. It comes with the power to be able to mentor and guide. But there is a price that you have to pay. You might not see it up front, but there is definitely a price that is paid. So I thank you all for sharing your information. Drop your information. I know we all have mentoring programs from HR, career, business, and also personal development. So whoever it resonates with, even though this is my show, but I don't like people to pick based on whoever is in charge. Like, everybody need to lead their own life and manage their own career. So whoever resonate with you all, so you all please feel free. No competition here. Please feel free to put your information in the feed regarding your programs, and I'll put mine in as well. So thank you all. I hope that we have blessed someone, and I really appreciate you all being on the line and joining in this discussion. So thank you all once again. And to the audience, thank you so much for hanging on. You all have been on from the beginning and commenting and chatting it up. So I will definitely go back and read your comments. So we have half of them about sweatpants and chill, and the other half about the leadership. And also for the guests, please go back and look at the comments. They were really engaged, but I was engaged in the conversation, so I couldn't go both ways. So once again, thank you all for chiming in. Make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms. Let's Do It Talk Show. That is our handle on Instagram. That is our group name on Facebook, as well as our website and our YouTube page. Please make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. And also next week, we have some great shows that are coming up ahead. We will be having youth entrepreneurs. So y'all make sure that y'all tune in so that you all can support them. And some of them will be selling some of their goods. And so you don't want to miss that. And then coming up following that, y'all know that conversation that we had about soulmates, soul ties, and side chicks. We did not get finished with that, and so many people have been inboxing me and following up, so we're going a second round on that very given topic. So I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.